Hard by a great forest dwelt a poor woodcutter with his wife and his 2 children. The boy was called Hansel and the girl Gretel. He had little to bite and to break. He could no longer procure even daily bread. Now when he thought over this by night in his bed, he groaned and said to his wife, "What is to become of us? How are we to feed our poor children?" "I'll tell you what, husband," answered the woman. "Early tomorrow morning we will take the children out into the forest to where it is the thickest, and then we will go to our work and leave them alone. They will not find the way home again, and we shall be rid of them." Early in the morning came the woman and took the children out of their beds. She led the children deep into the forest, where they had never in their lives been before, and there they were left. When they awoke, it was dark night, and Hansel comforted his little sister and said, "Just wait, Gretel, until the moon rises, and then we shall find our way home." It was now 3 mornings since they had left their father's house, when they found a little house that was built of bread and covered with cakes. "We will set to work on that," said Hansel, "and have a good meal. I will eat a bit of the roof, and you, Gretel, can eat some of the window. It will taste sweet." Then a soft voice cried from the parlor, "Nibble, nibble, gnaw, who is nibbling at my little house?" Suddenly the door opened, and a woman as old as the hills came creeping out. Hansel and Gretel were so terribly frightened that they let fall what they had in their hands. The old woman, however, nodded her head and said, "Oh, you dear children, who has brought you here? Do come in and stay with me. No harm shall happen to you." She took them both by the hand and led them into her little house. The old woman only pretended to be so kind. She was in reality a wicked witch who lay in wait for children, and had only built the little house of bread in order to entice them there. Early in the morning, before the children were awake, she seized Hansel with her shriveled hand, carried him into a little stable, and locked him in behind a grated door. Then she went to Gretel, shook her till she awoke, and cried, "Get up, lazy thing, fetch some water and cook something good for your brother. He is to be made fat, and when he is fat I will eat him." Gretel began to weep bitterly, but it was all in vain. When 4 weeks had gone by, and Hansel still remained thin, the witch, seized with impatience, could wait no longer. "Now then, Gretel," she cried to the girl, "stir yourself and bring some water. Let Hansel be fat or lean. Tomorrow I will kill him and cook him." Ah, how the poor little sister did lament when she had to fetch the water, and how her tears did flow down her cheeks. Early in the morning, Gretel had to go out and hang up the cauldron with the water and light the fire. "We will bake first," said the old woman. "I have already heated the oven and kneaded the dough." She pushed poor Gretel out to the oven, from which flames of fire were already parting. "Creep in," said the witch, "and see if it is properly heated, so that we can put the bread in." And once Gretel was inside, she intended to shut the oven and let her bake in it, and then she would eat her too. But Gretel saw what she had in mind and said, "I do not know how I am to do it. How do I get in?" "Silly goose," said the old woman, "the door is just big enough. Look, I can get in myself." And she crept up, thrust her head into the oven. Then Gretel gave her a push that drove her far into it, and shut the iron door and fastened the bolt. Oh, then she began to howl quite horribly, but Gretel ran away, and the godless witch was miserably burnt to death. Gretel, however, ran like lightning to Hansel, opened his little stable and cried, "Hansel, we're saved! The old witch is dead." How they did rejoice and embrace each other and dance about. Then they began to run, and the forest seemed to be more and more familiar to them, and at length they saw from afar their father's house. They rushed into the parlor and threw themselves round their father's neck. The man had not known one happy hour since he had left the children in the forest. The woman, however, was dead. Then all anxiety was at an end, and they lived together in perfect happiness.